Hey, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Kevin Kreuter with Youth for Christ, and today I have with me the wonderful Libby Sanderson, one of our wonderful campus life directors. And we are just thankful for the opportunity to share with you a little bit about what God has been doing and is doing through Youth for Christ ministry right here in Indian River County. So, just a couple weeks back, we had the opportunity to engage in a training with our leaders. And Libby, would you like to talk a little bit about what we did?
I would love to talk about that. So, we got our volunteers together and we equipped them with a training all about discipleship. So, once a kid says yes to Jesus, okay, what then? What's next? And so we just talked about how to walk with them through, really understanding the gospel and understanding to count the cost of following Christ. And then, how and why to read the Bible, how and why to pray. Just, equipping our leaders with resources and tools to meet with students and just help them understand how to begin that journey of imitating Christ.
That's so great. We had a good representation of our leaders. And one of the things I loved was just the opportunity to resource them in this way, because while our ultimate desire, of course, is to get students integrated into the local church, we don't want them to have to wait until that process is completed to be able to start the journey of discipleship once they say yes to Jesus. And so our leaders are right there, having established relationships, being the ones to be able to uh, wrestle with them. What does that decision you've just made mean? And then, of course, giving them the foundations of what it means to be a Christian, to walk with them. So, do you think it was well received by our leaders?
I think it was great, and I was really excited because a lot of different churches were represented through the attendees, and it's really cool once you see a student begin to attend those churches. And then even we talked about how to hand off new Christians to the local church, and so that we can just be that kind of on ramp to local churches. And so that was really exciting too.
It is. I think we all have had this experience where people could get lost in a church, even a smaller church, not necessarily having somebody to walk alongside them. And so, what I love about kind of what we're facilitating is our leaders are that first line walking with students in discipleship, and then hand off to an individual in the church so that they're not just attending a church, but they're walking with a member of that church in active discipleship, which is really exciting. So I'm thankful for you and the rest of our team walking with our leaders through this training. So
I'm excited to see fruit from it.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah. Yes. And so we try to do this at least once a semester to have a training on a really relevant topic that kind of continues to equip and empower our leaders to do what God's called them to do in our campus life ministry.
Yeah.
So, well, Libby, we've got something pretty exciting coming up here.
So exciting. Something that so many of us have just been anticipating.
Absolutely.
Yes, and that's Be the Story.
That's right. If you tuned in last month, you had an opportunity to hear a little bit about it, and it is imminent. It is coming up in just a short amount of time, and we would love for you to consider being a part of it. Libby, I asked Catherine this last month, but what is your favorite thing about Be the Story?
My favorite thing about Be the Story is getting the community together to hear from the students and hear the stories that the students have to share about what transformation took place in their lives because of our program, Campus Life. I think that it's so vital for people to understand, where kids are at. And it's really cool that at Be the Story, they get to hear that these students had no idea who Jesus was. And then because of Campus Life, they now discovered him. And I think that's what's really cool, is connecting our community to the kid and their story. And so that's my favorite part.
Absolutely. I love the awareness that this builds, both for the need as well as what God is doing through Campus Life Ministry. Probably one of my favorite things about Be the Story is it also gives an opportunity for engagement for those that have a heart for the Lord, have a heart for lost kids. There's practical ways for you to get engaged. And this event really builds awareness and connects the gifts that God's given you and how he's called you to ministry that's already happening in schools and into the community. This is our biggest fundraiser of the year, but it's not just about financial partners. It's about prayer warriors and volunteers, leaders to get on the front lines with us. And a host of other ways. So we would just encourage you to please come out on Friday, March 20th.
Mm-hmm.
It's from 7 to 8 p.m. It's at Central Assembly right here in Vero Beach. You could register online on our website at www.yfcirc.com/be the story. Again, that's YFC for Youth for Christ, IRC for Indian River County.com/be the story, all one word. Mm-hmm. And it's a free event, so you don't have to spend anything to get your ticket. Come on down and we'll feed you a nice dessert, some good coffee, mm-hmm. Rio Coco coffee. And we just encourage you to come out. It's 1 hour. We'd love to have you. So
yeah, come be the story.
Come be the story. And speaking of being the story, and of course, the number one outcome we want to see through ministry, which is kids connected to Jesus. We have an opportunity in a couple weeks now for across our clubs. For what, Libby?
Yeah, what's coming up is gospel presentations. And so a lot of people think, well, you see them every week. And so what we do, though, at Campus Life, at our clubs that happen on public school campuses, is we talk about different topics. And so not every single week that we're sharing the gospel presentations. And so it could be a whole series that's coming up for Imagine Middle School it's called This or That. And so we talk about this or that, honesty, dishonesty, respect, disrespect, forgiveness, unforgiveness. And at the very end, we're talking about surrendering or freedom, like really what that looks like. And so our clubs are doing gospel presentations very strategically and intentionally throughout the year. And that's coming up in a couple weeks. And so we're really excited. And we encourage you to be praying for us because we see so often the enemy kind of ramp up distractions or any kind of warfare. And so be praying against him, be praying for limited distractions, be praying for continued access to these schools, and be praying for the hearts of our students as they will be hearing the good news of Jesus Christ. And we're excited about that. We're really hoping that a harvest of souls will be reaped in here in Indian River County.
Amen. Mm-hmm. And just to tie it back to even what we had going on a couple weeks ago with our leader training and what we talked about just a few minutes ago, I love that students have the opportunity in the context of relationships with their leaders mm-hmm. to hear the gospel presented in a relevant way.
Yeah.
And then they have these opportunities to respond, and they do it on a form. And so the leaders get the form to see how the students responded. And it's not just we take their word for it, we assume they understand everything, they're good. But now we have a process by which that leader discerns, okay, where are they? What did you mean when you did mm-hmm. this? Do you understand this? Mm-hmm. And then walks them through those next steps. And so we're just excited. And like you said, Libby, I'm just looking forward to see what God does through this next round of gospel presentations because seeds have been planted mm-hmm. and we trust the Lord that the harvest is plentiful. So we are looking forward to that.
Yeah, so. Definitely. It's what we live for, right?
Amen.
Yeah. There's nothing better than bringing the good news to someone. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much for what you do. I think you mentioned it earlier, but what site are you at?
I Imagine Middle School. Yeah.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. So they meet on Mondays after school. So be praying for Imagine Middle School as well as all of our ministry sites. We're just so thankful you tuned in today. Again, we hope that you'll join us at Be the Story to see more about what God is doing through Youth for Christ and their Campus Life program. But thank you and God bless you.